Well, I've started doing something lately that I've really been enjoying, and a friend of mine up in Alaska turned me on to carving wooden spoons, and so I've carved several spoons and really enjoyed it. I'm kind of cheating because I'm using a power carver and not using the hook knife and all that sort of thing. Just don't have the patience for it, but there's also things you can do with the power carver that you cannot do with the hook knife. And so I'd like to share with you my experience of creating measuring spoons out of moose antler. And so this would be very difficult to do without a power carver. So here is an antler shed that a friend of mine gave me from Alaska. I was up there recently. And I started looking at this thing. I started thinking, you know, I bet you could get some kind of cool looking spoons out of this thing. And so that's what I have done. I've started carving some. So if you look at the cross grain of this, you're going to see something kind of interesting. So when you look at the cross grain of this antler, this is a shed from a moose, you'll notice that around the edge there's a very, it's a different color, and that's very dense material. The material inside is also much more dense than most woods I've ever worked with. I can't think of a wood that would be as hard as the interior, but the outside is extremely dense. It's about like beef bone or something like that. And so I just saw this shape here, and I thought, you know, that'd make a nice little teaspoon. And so then if you look at it in some other areas, you could probably get a really cool little tablespoon right there. So, you know, if you just take that up or to your bandsaw and whack that off, carve that out, kind of some cool shapes there. So that's what I started doing. And that's obviously crude, but that's kind of the idea I was going for, is to create a set of measuring spoons that you would actually use, but that they would just kind of be funky and earthy. And I think that these are just exactly that. I kind of like them. So there's your tablespoon. Here's your teaspoon. Got a couple more. I'm giving these away as a Christmas gift. And so I'm going to make a half teaspoon out of this guy. And so I'll show you how I do that. One thing is that I've discovered that I love are these, it's called Cuts Ball. And it is, I believe it's carbide, and they make these little spiky balls that go into different power carvers. These things, obviously you're going to be cranking out a lot of bone dust, or antler dust. I don't know what it is exactly, but I don't want it in my lungs. I highly recommend getting a dust mask, and then also I recommend safety glasses. And mine happen to be reading glasses. This is a half teaspoon. And then I just take my salt, pour it into my bowl. See how I'm doing. Got a ways to go, obviously. At least double that. So, just carve away. It's not a super big deal if you over carve your bowl, because you can just shave the walls down if you take a little too much out. Getting closer. Just roughed it out a little bit more, saved myself quite a bit of time on the sander there. This is, I believe, 80 grit sandpaper. Just want to verify once again that I have a half teaspoon. Now I'll go to a thinner or a finer sandpaper here. I'll tell you what, for 45 bucks, you cannot beat that little bench sander. It's just it's a nice little simple machine that just works. I love this for sharpening knives. It is amazing for sharpening knives. And then you get the leather strop for it, and it's incredible. Now I like to take a little bit of superfine. I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Sand away, I think you get the point. But that's how I carve measuring spoons out of Moose Antler. So, hope you enjoyed the video.